I did math voluntarily yesterday, which already tells you the story is getting serious. My daughter has 72 days left of summer, and I realized that if I spent 15 minutes a day learning to quilt, by the end of summer, I'd have almost 18 hours of practice. Now, listen, will I become a quilting legend? Probably not. Will I stab myself with pins while saying words that are not especially uplifting? Very possible. But I started realizing something. Maybe most of the things that we want peace, skills, confidence, preparedness, a calmer home, a healthier body maybe those are hiding on the other side of tiny daily effort instead of giant life overhauls. This is the Joyfully Prepared podcast, and I'm your host, Wendi Bergin. Thank you for listening. What do you think about that? 15-minute spurts of effort. Honestly, I think quilting is the perfect metaphor for this because quilts are not made in one afternoon of inspiration. Nobody dramatically bursts into a sewing room and emerges 3 hours later holding a perfect family heirloom while inspirational music plays in the background. Actually, I know a couple people where that might happen, but for most of us, that does not happen. A quilt is tiny pieces, tiny seams, tiny repeated movements, one square at a time, one row at a time, one slightly concerning crooked line at a time. And somehow, eventually, all those little pieces become something strong enough to keep people warm. I think that's a lovely thought. It's a beautiful thought, and you guys know that I've been trying to learn to quilt for a really long time, setting these goals, and I realized last week that if I was going to actually meet this goal of quilting, I needed to start quilting, I needed to start sewing, I needed to start practicing what was going to learn, like practicing how to sew straight seams. And I had this thought, what if I did this? What if I practiced 15 minutes a day? Last year, started cleaning the garage 15 minutes a day. Now, you need to understand that this garage looked kind of like Costco and emotional exhaustion had a baby because kind of did. It was a hot mess. And every time I thought about cleaning it, my brain basically responded with, "Absolutely not. Let us lie down instead." And I obeyed because that's what huge, overwhelming projects do. Researchers actually talk about this. The brain tends to resist giant, undefined tasks because they create stress and emotional overload. Hello? I know everybody feels this way. And honestly, that makes complete sense because when moms think, I need to organize the house, I need to lose weight, I need to get prepared, I should learn homemaking skills, I should start sewing, I should start gardening, it starts to feel enormous. And when things feel enormous, the brain often freezes. We now have a new definition of brain freeze. It's when we have to accomplish these big, giant tasks and it's just too overwhelming. But 15 minutes, the nervous system can handle 15 minutes. Researchers have also found that small completed tasks create dopamine in the brain, which helps reinforce motivation and momentum. Okay, sign me up. Which means every tiny completed effort teaches your brain, oh, maybe we can do this. And I think that's why the garage changed. Not because I suddenly became disciplined or magical or one of those women who on Instagram who alphabetizes flower jars while smiling peacefully. Nope. It changed because 15 minutes felt safe. That is the key. It's manageable. There was an exit door, literally. I just walked back out the door or, walked back into the house. I didn't have to commit to a whole day. I didn't have to become a different person overnight. I just had to show up for one tiny seam at a time, one 15-minute block at a time. And I could do it any time during the day. I didn't have to be like, you have to do this at 9 a.m., 9 a.m. to 9:15 p.m. No, It became one of those experiences where I was like, "Oh, it's time to clean the garage," and I could fit it in wherever I wanted to. Nobody told me what to do because I am anti that. Weirdly enough, when your brain knows it's allowed to stop, it becomes much more willing to begin. That's true for quilting. But honestly, I think it's true for life too, because I think many of us are exhausted from trying to overhaul our entire existence by Monday morning. Hello? Anybody? Start a diet every Monday morning? We want giant transformations immediately, but quilts don't work that way. Preparedness doesn't work that way. Gardens don't work that way. Strong families don't work that way. Peace doesn't work that way. Everything meaningful is stitched together slowly. And I think this is especially important to moms right now because I don't know about you, but I feel like women are carrying this constant quiet pressure to reinvent their entire lives overnight, to get healthy, organize the house, make magical summer memories, fix the budget, learn sourdough, touch grass, drink electrolytes, strength train, journal, become emotionally healed, and apparently also keep everyone alive and fed. That's a lot. And I think many women secretly feel like if they can't do something big, it doesn't count. If we miss a week, we quit. If the room gets messy again, we give up. If the routine falls apart, we decide we failed. And honestly, I think that mindset is exhausting us. Seriously, because real life is messy. Children get sick. My daughter broke her foot at her birthday party a month before she got out of school. We just ended school last week. Broke her foot. She's had a hard time. It's been really emotionally exhausting for her because she can't do the things that she wants to do. She missed out. We've had to postpone her getting her driver's license exam, for instance. She had lots of plans and now these plans have been disrupted. She's a teenager. And so she's learning how to emotionally regulate all of these things. It's been hard on her. And we still have a couple weeks left in the splint. And how the rehab will go, I don't know either. But it will work itself out like it always does. But like I said, life is messy. Plans change. Energy disappears. Sometimes it just disappears overnight too. And I'm not sure if you've ever noticed that. Unexpected bills happen. I had a dog, one of our dogs needed an emergency spay. That was a very unexpected bill. People disappoint us. That happens a lot. We don't even realize it's happening. They do. They don't mean to. That's what, and we've talked about that here a lot too. The dog throws up on the carpet 5 minutes before company arrives. That one honestly feels deeply personal every time. So why? Why must you do that, little puppy? And maybe that's why the quilting metaphor keeps hitting me emotionally because quilts are not perfect. If you look closely at handmade quilts, there are crooked seams, uneven corners, fabric choices somebody probably regretted halfway through. I have one like that. Like I haven't even started the quilt. I sewed some squares together and I'm like, I don't like this anymore. I don't know how to overcome that. I guess you do have to learn how to go quickly. But right now we're in the very slow moving moments of learning to quilt. And yet the quilts still become beautiful. They become useful. They keep people warm. They have purpose. And I think motherhood is like this too. Preparedness is like this. Homemaking is like this. Healing is like this. Most meaningful things are built imperfectly over time, one little seam at a time. And I wonder how many women are waiting to feel motivated enough, confident enough, organized enough, disciplined enough before they begin. Meanwhile, life is actually built on much smaller moments. 15 minutes cleaning a counter. Well, maybe not a counter, but part of your kitchen or whatever you designate. 15 minutes pulling weeds. 15 minutes sewing crooked seams. That would be me. 15 minutes reading scriptures. And honestly, I think small repeated effort is one of the most hopeful ideas in the world because it means your future is not built only by giant breakthrough moments. It's built by tiny, faithful stitches repeated over and over again. And this connects to something else I've been thinking about a lot lately. I watched a video recently where a man talked about disappointment and unmet expectations. A delayed flight, bad news, plans falling apart, people disappointing us, life not cooperating. And he said that he's training himself to respond with, yes, thank you. Now, at first, I'll be honest, my first response was, sir, respectfully, no. But the more I thought about it, the more I understood what he meant. And interestingly enough, there's actual psychology behind this idea. When something disappointing happens, the brain immediately starts sounding alarm bells because it wants to keep you safe and protected. Okay? Keep that in mind. It says things like, "This is unfair. I hate this. Everything is ruined. Nobody likes me." But researchers have found that when people practice something called cognitive reframing, it can actually help regulate emotional distress. Basically, instead of fighting reality immediately, the brain starts asking, okay, now what? And apparently, that shift matters. Because the brain moves out of pure emotional reaction mode and starts engaging the part of the brain connecting to reasoning, emotional regulation, and resilience, which honestly makes sense to me. Because, yes, thank you is not really saying, this is wonderful. It's saying, I'm willing to face this moment instead of immediately collapsing underneath it. And maybe that's part of resilience too. Not perfection, not pretending, just staying present long enough to sew the next seam. Because the thing that usually stops our stitching is disappointment. We miss a day, we fall behind, we expect faster progress, we thought life would cooperate more than it did. And immediately the brain wants to spiral into, well, now it's ruined. But maybe resilience sounds like, yes, thank you. This is not what I planned, but I can still sew one more seam. I love that because we're taking the victimhood, the victimness out of every day, and we take it and we reframe it. And we're like, "Okay, so this was not what I was expecting. That did not go according to plan. That was not it. However, yes, thank you." I have a really good friend, and she has taught her family that when something disappointing, even tragic happens, that their family says, "Or something better." So it's kind of the same as, "Yes, thank you," or something better. It tells the brain, "We're gonna think about something better." And that's what "yes, thank you" means as well. We're not saying that we're not sad, we're not mad, we're not disappointed, or anything like that, but we are telling our brain, "We're gonna think through this." We can feel emotions, we're allowed to feel emotions. I think once I read that the body can feel 7 emotions at the same time. I have been happy and sad at the same time. I have been grateful and angry at the same time. And so our brains are smart enough that we can feel the feelings and we should feel the feelings, but we can also be thinking how to be this yes thank you idea. We can think differently and receive better thoughts. And I think the best thing of all is that we don't have to be a victim. Yeah, we're a victim of the circumstance, but we don't have to stay in a victim mindset. We can immediately climb out by teaching ourselves the response of, yes, thank you. It's not fake positivity. It's not because we pretend hard things are easy, but because it keeps us moving. It keeps us participating in our own lives instead of emotionally checking out every time things aren't perfect. And honestly, maybe that's what preparedness is too. Not fear, not perfection, not giant stockpiles and panic. I like the stockpile idea, but maybe not giant stockpiles. Maybe preparedness is simply learning how to calmly sew the next square. Even when life doesn't go according to plan, we just move on. We're learning something new. So maybe this summer, instead of trying to reinvent your entire life by next Tuesday, you choose one small thing, your own little 15-minute summer goal. I'll give you some suggestions. Maybe you learn to sew. Maybe you'll make a quilt alongside me. That would be cool. We could be quilt buddies. Maybe you finally organize photos. Maybe you walk every evening. Maybe you start a tiny garden. Maybe you study your scriptures. Maybe you practice the piano again. Maybe you work on your pantry one shelf at a time. Maybe you stretch. Maybe you learn herbs. Maybe you drink more water and stop surviving entirely on caffeine and emotional support chocolate chips. I'm just saying. No pressure, no giant overhaul, no becoming a completely different woman overnight. Just one small seam. And then maybe sit down and do the math. How many days are left in your summer? What happens if you give even 15 minutes a day to something that matters to you? Because those tiny stitches do add up. And honestly, I think many beautiful lives are built exactly that way. Now, if you do decide to create your own 15-minute summer, I would genuinely love to hear about it. Message me, send me a DM, tell me what your tiny summer seam, your tiny summer goal is going to be, your 15-minute daily goal. I will post my links in the show notes. You can email me at Wendi, Wendi, at joyfulprep.com or go to my website, joyfullyprepared.com, and reach out to me. Send me a DM. I'm Joyful Prepper on Instagram. I want to hear what you're doing. I love this. I want to hear. I bet you're very creative. So let me know. I gave you a list earlier, but I'm sure there's something that's been on your mind for quite a while that you just haven't decided to start because it's probably overwhelming and you're just going to work on it for 15 minutes a day during the summer. You'll put in, depending on how long your summer is, you'll put in probably 18 to 20 hours of effort, which is really awesome. And I bet you will create beautiful things. I love the idea of a bunch of women quietly changing their lives 15 minutes at a time without pressure to become perfect. Tiny stitches still matter. And I think they matter more than we realize. Thank you so much for listening to the Joyfully Prepared podcast. I love you. Enjoy your day.